Through the Moon was an amazing and thoughtful little chapter of The Dragon Prince, but it's over now, and it ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, with Rayla leaving Callum because she did not want him to get hurt. They're separated because although they had sworn to chase down Viren together, she did not want to involve him in this. She thought it was too dangerous, so she left him behind. Rayla knows that she's acting based on a feeling. She does not have substantial evidence. If she's wrong and she involved Callum, she would have endangered him for nothing. And even if she's right, she's still putting him in unnecessary danger. She does not want to force Callum to confront Viren again. There's far too much risk there for her liking. She cares about Callum far too much to allow him to sacrifice his own well-being for her goals. But Callum, of course, is not satisfied with this arrangement. He's not satisfied with being left behind. He was utterly despondent in the middle of the comic when he woke up and saw that she was not there. And that was just a temporary absence on her part. Does she really think that he'll be okay with her leaving him? Going off to fight Viren? He would constantly be worrying what was gonna happen to her. Constantly worrying if she was gonna be alright. It would be a terrible fate for Callum. He's not alright with staying behind as she embarks on a possibly fatal adventure. He's not going to let her risk her life unless he's there by her side. But are we really going to have to wait until Season 4 to discover what Callum does after he realizes that she has left him behind? Well, probably. There are no new graphic novels planned. That does not mean Through the Moon is the only one we're going to get, but for the time being, the creative team for The Dragon Prince is wholly focused on Season 4, which is to the delight of a lot of fans, including myself, considering that it has been over a year since Season 3 of The Dragon Prince, and there is still no sign that Season 4 is going to be arriving anytime soon. When will Season 4 be released? Will it be soon? We don't know. I certainly don't pretend to know. I've been trying to predict this for about a year, and it still hasn't come. I'm very glad it has been renewed for the rest of its run, so we will be getting a Season 4 eventually, but the long wait might continue for months and months. If I had to guess, I'll stick to my guns and say that it will be released in March or April of 2021. That's what I said when they announced Season 4 at Comic-Con, and I'm not changing that. But it is possible that it could be delayed even later. When Aaron Haas hosted an AMA Ask Me Anything on Reddit, shortly after Through the Moon was released, he said that Season 4 was not in production yet. He said the team was late in pre-production and getting ready to enter into production, but not quite there yet. This is not a particularly good sign for those of us who would like to see the season released sooner rather than later. It was rather dispiriting to me, I must say. Based on this, the show might be delayed until late spring 2021. Think May or early June, or possibly even later. Of course, these are guesses. We don't know for sure how long production will take, but I doubt the precautions taken to prevent the spread of COVID will help things much. It's possible we might not even get Season 4 until the summer, about a year after Season 4 was announced during Comic-Con, and over a year and a half from the release of Season 3. Still, we should not lose hope. Remember that we have gotten confirmation that we are going to be getting the last 4 seasons of this show. They might take a while to arrive, but we're going to get them, and we're going to get them probably without gaps as long as the gap between Season 3 and Season 4, because the show no longer has to wait for network approval. They can just move through all these seasons, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The show's been renewed for all those seasons. Barring unforeseen circumstances, which there have been a lot of this year, but barring these sorts of circumstances, we are going to be getting Season 4 of the show relatively shortly. And by that I mean in the next 6 months or so. There's no reason to believe otherwise. Even if they had not started real work on the show until it was renewed in July, it has still been about 4 months since then. And considering how quickly the previous seasons of the show have been made and released, I don't think we'll have to wait much longer than another 4 or 5 months. Still, we will just have to keep waiting at this point. We'll just have to keep hoping for the best. But will anything happen before then? Will we receive any new information about the Dragon Prince as a franchise? Will there be any new releases? We don't know for sure. I will say there is some good news. No, there is no confirmation that we're going to be getting Season 4 anytime soon or another graphic novel, but in the spring of 2021, we are going to be getting the second novelization of The Dragon Prince, this time the novelization of Season 2. As a novelization, there's probably not going to be much new information here. It's a tie-in book that retells the events of Season 2. If you've been paying attention, you might notice that this is exactly what happened for Season 1 of The Dragon Prince, Moon. They released a wonderful tie-in book that stuck exactly to the events as presented in Season 1, but filled in those events with quite a bit of information that they could not fit in the show proper. This came out in early June, though you might remember, if you were a fan of The Dragon Prince back then, that the copies, at least the physical copies, were not delivered on time. Amazon got all mixed up because of the pandemic, and there was a significant delay. This was quite annoying to me, personally, as I had pre-ordered a physical copy and was hoping to use it for reviewing. This obviously did not pan out. My physical copy eventually arrived, but by the time it did, the novelization was no longer new. And because I wanted to get a review out in reasonable time for y'all, I had to get myself a digital copy too, and use that one for review. If you're curious about this novelization, or you want to know what to expect for the second novelization, I highly recommend checking out that review. It's under the title of Viren's Secrets Revealed, or something dramatic like that. I called it that because by far the most interesting thing in the book, at least in my view, is how the book expanded on Viren's character, how it kind of analyzed his past and his motivations. While my favorite characters in this show are Claudia and Rayla, Viren is the one who intrigues me the most. I love the parts of the show that dive into his past and his relationship with King Harrow. In these sections, Viren is less a straightforward villain and more a sort of morally ambiguous anti-hero. He's not a good person, perhaps, and his callousness toward non-human life is troubling. I'm not going to say otherwise. But his reasoning is not completely absurd. The humans have a right to be angry that the elves exiled them from Zadia. And the fact that Luna Tenebris, the dragon who gave this punishment, considered it the merciful one, as an extra slap in the face. Imagine being thrown out of your homeland by a bunch of other beings just because they don't like that you're using magic that contradicts their ethical rules. Ethical rules that they have because they are these innately magical creatures while humans are not. These rules don't impact elves, but they do prevent humans from being able to reach the level of elves. You have to admit that's a little bit unjust, and Viren correctly identifies this injustice. Although one could argue that he goes way too far in his disdain of elves. So yeah, I was definitely open to learning more about Viren, and the novelization delivered. We learn his wife's name, and we learn that she's not dead, or at least, as far as Viren knows, she's still alive. She left him, and it is implied this is because she was concerned about his growing connection with dark magic. True, reading the book is not essential for knowing Viren as a character, but it helps. It provides context. It helps one understand where he's coming from. And I hope the novelization for Season 2 similarly expands on the internal lives of these characters. I want to know more about what they're thinking and where they're coming from and what their perspectives are. A lot of people didn't like how dang quickly Rayla's feelings for Callum appeared to erupt in Season 2. I personally do not have a problem with this, but considering how much of the show focuses on Callum, it would be nice to have a little more of Rayla's interiority. It would be a little nice to have a little more of her perspective. What did she feel when Callum returned from the storm? What did she feel when Callum used dark magic and subsequently fell very sick? And I don't just mean in broad strokes like, oh, she was really miserable, or oh, she wishes he hadn't used dark magic. I want a greater and more incisive window into what she's thinking and what she's experiencing. I want the novel to linger on these reaction moments. While I am excited to receive the perspective of many different characters in this novelization of Book 2, just like I was excited to receive these different perspectives in Book 1, the perspective I am most interested in at this point is Rayla's perspective. Her reactions are such an important part of the second season of the show, especially in regards to her growing relationship with Callum. And yeah, we don't get as much insight into Rayla's reactions as we, the fans, might like. But aside from that very promising looking novelization, which I recommend y'all buy, not much is coming out, at least as far as I'm aware. Something else might be announced after I finished recording this script, but for now, this is all we know. 2020 was actually quite a good year for Dragon Prince content, even though we did not receive the Season 4 we were all hoping to get. We got Callum's spellbook, we got a wonderful art book of the Dragon Prince, we got the Season 1 novelization I was talking about before, and we got the wonderful graphic novel Through the Moon, which I recommend y'all read if you haven't. I'm sure they will announce a lot more wonderful Dragon Prince goodness at Comic-Con next summer. Hopefully, the virus will be over by then, and we'll be able to have Comic-Con in person instead of remotely. And I also think New York Comic-Con is going to be a great event, especially if it's physical. I'm not really a convention goer myself, but I'm thinking about heading down over there from Columbia, if I can. The Javits Convention Center, where they hold Comic-Con, is not far from where my living space is in New York. I also hope that we'll have Season 4 of The Dragon Prince by then, so we'll have a lot to talk about in conventions and other such social activities. This fandom is growing, and I want to see that growth accelerate as more seasons and more material comes out. But these are just hopes. Well-founded estimates, sure, I try to back up my assertions with evidence, but ultimately, there's no way to know. We'll just have to trust in the Dragon Prince team and trust that we'll get a 4th season sooner rather than later. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Keep watching The Dragon Prince. It is a lovely and bold and enthralling series that is only getting better with time. I can't wait to see what the next chapters bring. I can't wait to see what kind of imaginative stuff they think up. It's going to be really thrilling, and I can't wait to see it. So anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank y'all again. Adios, comrades.